rock, paper, scissors is an imperfect information game.
Right.
Because you don't know what I'm about to throw.
I do, but yeah, usually not. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can't just say like, oh, I'm just going to throw a rock every single time
Mhm.
because the other person's going to figure that out and notice a pattern. And then suddenly you're going to start losing.
Mhm.
And so you don't just have to figure out like which action to play. You have to figure out the probability that you play it. And really importantly, the value of an action depends on the probability that you're going to play it. So if you're playing rock every single time, that value is really low. But if you're never playing rock, you play rock like 1% of the time, then suddenly the other person is probably going to be throwing scissors. And when you throw rock, the value of that action is going to be really high. Now, you take that to poker, what that means is the value of bluffing, for example. If you're the kind of person that never bluffs and you have this reputation as somebody that never bluffs, and suddenly you bluff, there's a really good chance that that bluff is going to work and you're going to make a lot of money. On the other hand, if you got a reputation, like if they've seen you play for a long time and they see, oh, you're the kind of person that's bluffing all the time, when you bluff, they're not going to buy it and they're going to call you down. You're going to lose a lot of money. And that finding that balance of how often you should be bluffing is the key challenge of a game of poker. And you contrast that with a game like chess. It doesn't matter if you're opening with the Queen's Gambit 10% of the time or 100% of the time. The expected value is the same. So that's why we need these algorithms that understand not just we have to figure out what actions are good, but the probabilities. We need to get the exact probabilities correct. And that's actually when we created the bot Libratus. Libratus means balanced because the algorithm that we designed was designed to find that right balance of how often it should play each action.
The balance of how often in the key sort of branching is the bluff or not the bluff.
It's
Is that a good crude simplification of the major decision in poker?
it's a good simplification. I think that's like the main tension, but it's not just how often to bluff or not to bluff. It's like how often should you bet in general? How often should you what kind of bet should you make? Should you bet big or should you bet small? And with which hands? And so this is where the idea of a range comes from,
Yeah.
because when you are bluffing with a particular hand in a particular spot, you don't want there to be a pattern for the other person to pick up on. You don't want them to figure out, oh, whenever this person is in this spot, they're always bluffing. And so you have to reason about, okay, would I also bet with a good hand in this spot? You want to be unpredictable. So you have to think about what would I do if I had this different set of cards?
Is there explicit estimation of it, like a theory of mind that the other person has about you, or is that just a emergent thing that happens?
The way that the bots handle it that are really successful, they have an explicit theory of mind. So they're explicitly reasoning about what's the common knowledge belief? What do you think I have? What do I think you have? What do you think I think you have? It's explicitly reasoning about that.
Is there multiple U's there? So maybe that's jumping ahead to 6 players, but is there a stickiness to the person? So it's an iterative game. You're playing the same person. There's a stickiness to that, right? You're gathering information as you play. It's not every hand is a new hand. Is there a continuation in terms of estimating what kind of player I'm facing here?
That's a good question. So you could approach the game that way. The way that the bots do it, they don't, and the way that humans approach it, also expert human players, the way they approach it is to basically assume that you know my strategy. So I'm going to try to pick a strategy where even if I were to play it for 10,000 hands and you could figure out exactly what it was, you still wouldn't be able to beat it. Basically, what that means is I'm trying to approximate the Nash equilibrium. I'm trying to be perfectly balanced because if I'm playing the Nash equilibrium, even if you know what my strategy is, like I said, I'm still unbeatable in expectation. So that's what the bot aims for. And that's actually what a lot of expert poker players aim for as well. To start by playing the Nash equilibrium, and then maybe if they spot weaknesses in the way you're playing, then they can deviate a little bit to take advantage of that.